A dev for Helldivers 2 has just casually confirmed something that every fan has been waiting for a long time, and to add to that, the request for melee weapons to be added to the game, and Helldivers 2 uses the Game Master to actually stop the live service side from being, and I quote, just a calendar with automated events tied to major holidays. We have a lot to get through. If you can leave a like, it helps a ton, but if you don't enjoy the video, then go ahead and leave a dislike. So, a dev for Helldivers 2 has just casually confirmed over on Twitter something that every fan has been waiting for, and the announcement says, and I quote, Helldivers, the Exo 45 Patrio Exosuits are in full production in the factories of Taiwan, and Arrowhead continue to say ready for deployment on the battlefield soon. Now, mechs and just this announcement in general is massive. This was something previously teased in the trailer, which they did say would be coming soon after launch, right? So technically, I guess we are right on schedule with this reveal, but of course the word soon could quite literally be anything from this week to a few weeks from now. But a March release, in my opinion, does seem like a reasonable wager. If nothing else, I'm keen to know your thoughts on when you feel this is going to be released, so let me know in the comments. Now, there is very little doubt that they will be heavy artillery equipped with what we seem to be potent rocket launchers and machine guns, which of course are just going to be clearing groups of enemies as well as just completely tanking through these targets. Now, that said, it does remain to be seen whether mechs like the Exo 45 all use the same weapons or if they can be customized, not to mention whether they are available as deployable stratagems or perhaps as discoverable bonuses like the bonus SEAF cannon found in some missions. Now, the uptime on mechs is also another big question, as I personally doubt that the devs would be nice enough to let us pilot one of these for just like 40 minutes straight, but here's to hoping. It depends how, I guess, powerful it's going to be and how much it is going to allow you to just accelerate through these enemies, but I don't know, it's a win-win either way. I feel like it probably will very much likely have a respectable timer, but at the same time, if it didn't have a timer, it would kind of be less desirable when playing, so timers, as much as I like them, pros and cons for the most part, because again, it just keeps you engaged, at least in my opinion. Now, with that being said, Helldivers 2 players are calling for the devs to add melee weapons to the game, with many believing that this addition will actually help them further in their fight for Super Earth. Now, commenting on the official Helldivers 2 Reddit page, one player showcased the number of melee kills, jokingly claiming, and I quote, they won't stop until the devs add a proper melee weapon. Now, currently, the only melee option that players have at their disposal is, of course, their gun. So, we know that can still be used to just wipe out enemies, but whilst it can actually get you out of a tight pinch against the weaker foes, it does still lack the overall oomph or spectacle of just a dedicated melee weapon. Now, someone did continue to say the following, and I quote, honestly, it'd be cool if we can get melee options both as secondaries and as a drop-down special weapon. Another person added to this by saying, maybe even some you can use in tandem with your pistol like the ballistic shield, which I just quickly want to say I love that idea. I think that would be a lot better than the first option in my opinion. Again, it just kind of makes things feel a bit more seamless in that regard. All of these things, bear in mind, it changes the almost brutality of using these things in the game, right? Definitely makes you feel like you're actually doing something in that sense, but I mean, look, either way, both options are a win, but if it was just one way that it's being implemented there, I would love it to be like the one that I've just said, like with your pistol, with the ballistic shield. Now, others were keen to point out that how some melee weapons would only help to spread the community's freedom and democracy across the galaxy. Now, someone also joked by saying, and I quote, a sword for quick slashing through mobs, and a hammer for cracking armor would be extremely democratic. Now, it is important to note that the devs still have loads and loads of content from Helldivers 1 to add, especially with the Illuminate faction and sabers amongst the most hyped additions. Now, after all, sabers were usable as well in Helldivers 1, don't forget, which was in the Proving Grounds, which of course were unique missions where players could ultimately just try out new gear. Now, whether the devs will be adding challenge missions tailored around, in this case using melee weapons, or if they would add them into the wider weapon pool, does of course remain to be seen. Now, either way, it is clear that the Helldivers 2 is eager to add melee weapons to their arsenal, no doubt. Now, with that being said, Helldivers 2 uses its Game Master to stop the live service side from being, and I quote, just a calendar with automated events that are tied to major holidays. Now, we all know the Game Master Joel, and Arrowhead have actually stated that their aim to keep Helldivers 2 engaging for years and years to come is by simply avoiding the trap of repetitive, automated events tied into these major holidays. Now, instead, that is where the Game Master injects the excitement into the experience, as it is all very much so spontaneously done as well, and that way it is ensuring that players remain invested in, of course, the never-ending war. Now, so far this has been great, and it has been stated, and I quote, that most live service games have something like a Game Master, but it's actually a series of automated events. Also, slightly brutal, but the truth is that plenty, and I mean plenty, of great games do eventually reach that final section, which I guess you could just basically say is the end game grind, and then they are just flat out of ideas, of course beyond seasonal events and especially themed cosmetics. But this all seems to be a little more fluid than your typical set schedule of announcements and updates. Now, of course, the question does still remain, will it be a dev team continuing to listen and engage with the community with implementing new things into the game that actually is that single element that keeps things going for many years to come, or no matter how good the game is, as we've seen with many other great games, at some point it's just going to reach the end game grind. Now, that is the big question. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below, but so far this game is taking fans on a complete roller coaster. Where do we go from here?